So I know that you know that I know that everyone who's played an SMT game before knows that SMT and Persona are two very different series. While at first glance they may seem similar, in reality they actually strive to be two very different kinds of RPGs. SMT aims to be a hardcore dungeon crawler monster collecting adventure with dark occult overtones and themes that typically deal with philosophy, with the modern entries putting more emphasis on training and customizing your demon party members. Persona, on the other hand, aims to be a more casual-friendly RPG, with less focus on dungeon crawling in favor of social sim elements that are meant to enhance the story and the themes of human connection. The occult aesthetic is replaced with something more stylish and attention-grabbing, meant more to convey the specific theme of that game, whether it be accepting that all things will come to an end, accepting things for what they are instead of what you want them to be, or rebelling against the injustices enforced by society that benefit people in power and keep the layman down, Soviet Russia and all that. Despite being given a different name in the latter series, you collect demons in both SMT and Persona. How you get them differs in P3 and 4, but for the most part, you recruit them via conversing and bartering. You can also create new demons via fusion, with various different recurring and unique methods such as tri-fusion and sacrificial fusion. However, how demons are used in-game differs greatly. For SMT, demons act like highly customizable party members. Persona, on the other hand, treats demons more like equipment, with you regularly swapping them out so the protagonist, or in P1 and 2 every party member, can access different types of magic and skills on the fly. They're like the various types of guns available in Strange Journey, except you can swap them in and out in battle. I could keep going on and on about the differences between SMT and Persona, but instead I'd rather go back to the first thing I said in this video. Everyone who's played an SMT game before knows that SMT and Persona are two very different series. Yeah, that was a lie if you couldn't tell. I know, right? Mind-blowing. The truth here is that I know that you know that I know that some people who have played an SMT game before know that it is a very different series from Persona. We know the truth, but the average person doesn't. In fact, the average person is more likely to think the two series are very similar because of the surface level attributes. Hell, I've seen some people online say they thought Shin Megami Tensei was just the Japanese title for Persona. In most other circumstances, this kind of ignorance wouldn't be that big of a deal. People are wrong about things all the time, and the reasonable thing to do would be to simply correct them. But what makes this specific comparison different is the context surrounding these two series. I'd say the main point of comparison is things like the story, aesthetics, and gameplay, though difficulty is also a recurring element. Let's start with that last part. Persona is a series that is made with the intent of being more casual. I don't think anyone, even die-hard Persona fans, would argue against this. Well, actually, I could imagine someone who's trying to defend Persona acting like it's this hardcore RPG, kinda in the same way that some MCU fans will act like Marvel movies are the underdog of the industry because Marty Scorsese said mean things. But even if this person exists, they are absolutely a minority within the player base. Personally, I believe this more casual focus is in part why Persona as a series has been able to blow past SMT as the best-selling Atlus franchise. Persona games are not necessarily hard games. Even on the harder difficulties, you can beat basically any challenge presented to you as long as you have a basic understanding of the mechanics and are able to plan properly. While Persona certainly isn't a mainstream series in the same way Final Fantasy is mainstream, it's absolutely a known entity among the more dedicated gaming audience. And many of these people are capable of handling the difficulty presented. But the thing is, these people aren't getting brought in because of the lack of difficulty. Most of the time, they're intrigued by the art style, the music, the story, the characters, and the gameplay. Obviously, a lot of people will fall in love with the non-gameplay aspects. For those who play the games for that, the barrier to access them isn't very high. It's easier to keep enjoying the parts you do like because the elements you don't are less intrusive. However, when these people branch out to, say, Nocturne, they find that not only is the game not putting as much focus on those parts, but the parts that are given focus become a barrier to it. If someone who loved Persona 4 story and characters played SMT 4 because they wanted more of that kind of thing, they'd likely be deterred by Naruku and the map of Tokyo. They didn't come there for gameplay, they came there for the aesthetics and narrative. But for those who enjoyed the gameplay of Persona, there's still a chance that they would prefer the social sim aspect over the dungeon crawling. And just like the plot people, they'd likely be disappointed or upset that the game is focused around the half of Persona they didn't like as much. But what about those who are into the dungeon crawling? They'll probably love what SMT is doing. And if you're one of these people, that's great! There's so much this series has to offer. And while I can understand only liking one part of it, even just being interested in giving the other games a shot is awesome. Now, if you're one of the people who gatekeeps and doesn't want any Persona fans even attempting to play any Mega 10 games, screw you! Gatekeeping sucks and there's no reason to do it. The way I see it, you should want more people to get into the things you love. However, there is a difference between gatekeeping and calling out unfair criticism. Gatekeeping is yelling about how you don't want people getting into the franchise because you don't want anybody like them touching the thing you like. Calling out unfair criticism is pointing out when somebody is calling SMT garbage because it's not like Persona. But there's also a difference between critiquing unfair criticism and using it as an excuse to be an ass. I think the best, most recent example of this would be the IGN review of SMT5. For transparency's sake, I have actually been on the Shin Megami Tensei Network podcast with Leanna Haffer, the freelancer who did the review for IGN. However, this isn't me trying to argue that she did nothing wrong. I personally disagree with the angle she approached the game from. The now infamous line, Persona 5 without the heart. When the review came out, it was derided by the wider fanbase for the frequent P5 comparisons used to criticize it. The story isn't as good, the characters aren't as good. These kinds of comparisons are often made by a lot of people who have played Persona and then attempted to play a mainline game. The problem is that SMT isn't coming at these things the same way. Shin Megami Tensei is meant to be more thought-provoking and at times abstract. While minimalist is a term thrown around that some take issue with, I'm looking at you, LaRue buddy, hope you're doing well, compared to a game like Persona 5, it can seem that way. The focus is less so the characters and events, but rather what they're meant to represent and what they're saying. Comparatively, Persona is more traditional, for lack of a better term. It's very character-focused, with the story more about conveying emotions. Scenes and characters are written and presented in a way that's meant to make you feel a certain way, not to ask you how you feel about it. When a Persona fan first tries mainline SMT and ends up disappointed, that's okay. If it doesn't gel with them, it doesn't gel with them. But if they say it's bad because it's not like a different game with different intentions, then I would argue that is unfair and I wouldn't be against calling said criticism out. Likewise, if someone was to use said unfair criticism to harass and attack the person, I wouldn't be against calling out said behavior. In fact, I'd be all for calling it out, because don't harass people over stupid opinions. Jesus Christ, it's just a video game. Going back to the IGN review, Leanna was hit with a ton of harassment and even transphobia over her thoughts when she shouldn't have. I will say I at least understand why people got upset and vitriolic over it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. These unfair comparisons have existed for a long time, and often they've been paired with demeaning comments about SMT and even its fans. It's the lesser series, the fans are just salty over Persona's success, yada yada yada. This hostility wears on people, and toxicity typically breeds more toxicity. But this does not justify harassing people. So, like, what is the point I'm trying to make? What am I getting at with this? Different series are going to have different approaches to the same topics, and comparing the two can be the wrong way to go about critiquing them. There's a difference between critiquing criticism and gatekeeping. You can call out unfair criticism without turning hostile. Just don't be a dick. Hey guys, thank you for watching. So this is the first of a couple of think pieces I've actually been writing up. They're just a couple of subjects that have come to mind lately that I wanted to kind of just get my thoughts out, and I thought they'd make for decent little videos, shorter, like 10, 15 minute, whatever videos, just talking about certain subjects. if people like them, I might keep doing them. I don't know. If you have something you want to see what my opinion is, or you think I should, you know, talk about or whatever, just let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter, whatever. Yeah, if you like this, I'll probably keep doing them. I have at least 2, this one and one other one, that I have the scripts completed for that I plan on making videos. I have a couple of other subjects, that I've like jotted down ideas for that I could like try and turn into something like this. I don't know. But again, if you guys like it, let me know. If you have any ideas for what I should, talk about in the future, let me know, and yeah, we'll see where this goes. Anyway, take care. Also, like, subscribe, bye.